Hey y'all. Yesterday, I went out and did a little bit of foraging, a little bit of wildcrafting, and I found a huge stand, I guess you could call it, of lobelia. Now, I want to show you this. It is a little wilted. I kept it in water, but you can just barely. Okay, there's a good one. You see the shape of that flower right there. There we go. You see the shape of that flower? That is a lobelia flower. It is very unique. It has two little petals up top and two larger petals down below. Or it's actually three larger petals down below. So you're two up top and three down below. Now, what makes this a very interesting lobelia is I think it may actually be a cross between uh, Lobelia syphilitica and Lobelia inflata. Now, I say that because it is a little lighter blue than Lobelia syphilitica. It is a little darker blue than Lobelia inflata. We have a lot more Lobelia inflata in the mountains. That is what's generally considered the official lobelia for herbal medicine. Let me show you the leaf. It's not a very complex leaf at all. You know, this is a large lobelia plant. I mean, the normal Lobelia inflatas are somewhat smaller and paler blue. All right, so why is lobelia so important? Well, lobelia, especially Lobelia inflata, is one of your best lung herbs. It is a bronchodilator. In folk use of the plant, it's called Indian tobacco, which I mean is obviously an odd phrase, right? Because we got our tobacco from Native Americans too. So why wouldn't tobacco be Indian tobacco? Well, Native Americans used to mix their tobacco with various herbs. Kinnikinnick is a very um, common mixture more among the Western tribes that's combined tobacco with red osier dogwood, with various plants, and they all have a different effect. Mullein is often mixed in. Just different ones. There's one just, I'm trying to think of it's not coming to me. Um, Little berry, the uva is often mixed in. Lobelia has an effect very much like tobacco as a bronchodilator. It is one of the very best herbs for stopping an asthma attack, for stopping the respiratory effects you might experience, say, after a bee sting or a hornet sting. It was widely used in early America as an emetic, meaning a plant that would cause you to throw up or vomit. That was important because, like Ipecac, when you have something poisonous and you throw it up, it gets it out of your system. Well, the Thomsonian School of Medicine actually found purging, as they called it, very useful for a number of conditions. We don't really do that so much anymore. Lobelia these days is primarily a lung herb. And as someone who has asthma, I have lobelia growing in my yard. I find it in the woods, every variety I can find. Okay. The Lobelia syphilitica is particularly interesting because while it has all those characteristics as Lobelia inflata, it was used by Native American tribes for the treatment of venereal diseases. The fresh root was used on the symptomatic outbreaks of, say, syphilis. So I'll give the name. It was very popular as an export to England in early America. Unfortunately, as the root dried, it lost its potency, so it was not found to be effective in England. Still used very much in Western medicine. Other aspects of lobelia, it's good to help prevent shock. A few drops of the tincture in water um, is useful for that. It is caustic. It burns the throat much like tobacco. Okay, if you remember your first cigarette or your first chew of tobacco, you remember how sick you got. Lobelia has the exact same effect. You find your dosage by experimenting with the plant and figuring out how much makes you sick. Under that amount is the amount you want to use. So that's lobelia. I mentioned it a lot in last week's prepper radio. Prepper Broadcasting Network, Herbal Medicine for Preppers, under lung herbs. Obviously, it is one of the primary lung herbs. It also is very useful, and of course, I'm not recommending it for this. I cannot say under by law that it does this or does not, but I have known many people who used lobelia to help them quit smoking tobacco. The effect of lobelia is so much like nicotine that by drying and smoking the leaves and flowers of this plant, you can wean yourself off tobacco, or at least that's what people say. I often mix lobelia into a smoking mixture. It is just very good to help stop an asthma attack, to help prevent an asthma attack. Uh, Lobelia has actually saved my life several times. I mean, one time I'm out hiking on an early spring day. I took just an impromptu hike. I did not have my pack with me. I slipped on some ice, fell down a ravine into an icy cold river. I came out having an asthma attack because I just hit that cold water and was scrambling up the ravine. You know, that can trigger an asthma attack. I was experiencing hypothermia. I was about to go into shock. It was really bad. And I was like 2, 3 miles from my truck, soaked to the bone, and it was like 40 degrees. And there in a little beam of sunshine was a plant, a little lobelia inflata about that big. It was like a miracle. And I grabbed it, I snapped off the top, and I just ate it. I did not have any asthma medication with me whatsoever. Literally, that probably saved my life. I mean, thank God. You know, I ate that plant, asthma went away, the trauma of the shock kind of dissipated. I kept walking so I didn't go into hypothermia. I made it back to the truck, cranked the heater up, and went home and gave myself a good lecture for being so stupid. So anyway, I want you to remember this plant. It is very important, and if you can't find it in the wild, by the way, it likes damp places, it likes rich soil. Um, Plant it in your garden. There's also a red variety called red cardinal flower. It's not quite as strong, but any of these will look very nice in landscaping. And if these flowers were open a little bit more, you would see they're just very pretty. And like I said, the signature essentially of the plant is 2 petals up and 3 down. And in your more developed varieties, you'll have the 2 little petals up and then you'll have 3 big petals down, just like that. So this plant can actually save your life. Look for it, learn it, know how to use it. And I'll talk to you next time.